you know, they have that ability, and Josh Allen as a quarterback has that ability to not only beat you throwing the football, but he is a dynamic runner, a dynamic athlete. It makes them a contender, but I still think they're in third place in the AFC, probably behind the Steelers and behind the Kansas City Chiefs for sure.
Yeah, they're a legit threat. Think about it. They're in the conversation. You would not be shocked if they were to beat the Steelers or even the Chiefs. You'd be a little surprised, but you wouldn't be shocked. But look, they played each other this year already, and we saw how that went. The Kansas City Chiefs won that ball game. But watching the Buffalo Bills against the Seattle Seahawks, I found a way that they can dethrone the Kansas City Chiefs. This is how you have to look at it. How do you get Patrick Mahomes off his game? Good luck with that. But in his two worst performances this year, which were against the Raiders in that loss, and in the overtime game win against the LA Chargers, we saw pass rush have its effect on Patrick Mahomes, like every other quarterback, but pass rush especially in that game. Those are the only two games this year where they had double digits in hurries against Patrick Mahomes, and those are the games he struggled the most in. So now you can understand what's the formula. Just get to Patrick Mahomes like any other quarterback. But look at what the Buffalo Bills were able to do against the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson had the most knockdowns this year of any quarterback, 16 times. Not hurried, knocked down, like, oh, I got to get back up. And that's what the Buffalo Bills pass rush was able to do in this game that they weren't able to do against the Chiefs in the first game. If they can keep that pass rush going with the offensive weapons that they have and Josh Allen playing at a comparable level to even Russell Wilson, who's in the MVP conversation, now you got something there. But you can't just focus in on the offense. You got to look on the defense, especially up front.
You know, I like what they're doing on offense as well. I do believe that they can run the ball. I agree with Mark on that. They can run it a little better. But look at this team and the way it's configured. They have a runner in Josh and Josh Allen. I look at them from a defensive standpoint and from an offensive standpoint, and this is a physical team. And I think the physicality of what they're bringing to the table is really making a difference for them and winning these games. That reminds me of those two high-end AFC North teams. We didn't mention the Ravens, but to me, outside of the Chiefs, yes, the Bills are a threat because they are much like those two AFC North teams and the Steelers and the Ravens. Why? Because even though their defense did give up some yardage against the Seahawks are going to air it out. They're going to throw the ball and they're going to get yards. But they played defense well enough to give their team the opportunity to win the game. And that was what's important. And then you also have to take into consideration is that they are finding ways to wear teams down and win the games. Now, they have shown inconsistencies, and that concerns me a little bit. But when you look at the way this team is built and the way it's configured, they could compete against the Kansas City Chiefs team. And they could do it really, in my opinion, if they got another opportunity at them, they could possibly do it in a very, very emphatic form and fashion.
Yeah, look, on paper, it's kind of weird that we're even trying to build up this argument because the Chiefs have a better offense and they got a better defense. I know that Buffalo's defense was expected to be better this year, but not so much this year as in comparison to last year, where now they're 18th ranked. But if you can talk about what they can do defensively, especially in those critical moments and money down situations, that's where they can make their hay. You go against Patrick Mahomes in that offense, you have to hold your breath for 60 minutes because you know he can strike anytime and anywhere. But Josh Allen, who I've been on his bandwagon since hello, has the arm talent and also has the mobility to go out there and really pose a threat in the off-scripted plays. And that's the toughest thing when you're playing defense. I look at this Kansas City Chiefs defense this year, and they're ranked higher than the Buffalo Bills at 13th. But when you get off-script, when you get a guy who's buying time with his legs and still can dart you down the field, that's when you pose problems that are not in your traditional form. So I don't think the Buffalo Bills will run up on the Kansas City Chiefs and say, here we come, and defeat them. But there is a surprise element to this team. And if the Kansas City Chiefs are just one notch off their A game, I think the Bills could come get them.
You know, I went through Kansas City. I went through all their losses for the last 2 years. And the one thing that was a consistent when beating Kansas City was possessing the ball, churning out first downs, whether it was through running the ball, whether it was through passing the ball, it didn't matter. I remember the Chargers had 29 first downs against them, most of them passing. And it's about eliminating Patrick Mahomes' possessions with the ball. If you can take it from a 12-possession game down to an 8-possession game, you're still gonna be in a shootout. You got to score where you possess the ball, but at least it gives you an opportunity. And I think the thing that you said that was interesting to me, I've always believed in kind of the 70-30 rule. You guys both played defense. I played offense, meaning that 70% of the time we're on script. And I want to be on script, right? I want to be in second down and, in 5 to 6. I want to be in third down and 3-. I want to be on script and churn first downs and do those things. The thing that sets Josh Allen apart is if he can consistently be on script in that 70% range, in that 70% of the time, that 30% when you're off script, when you're playing schoolyard, when you're playing those unscripted plays, he's got the ability through his legs and through his motion and through his arm talent to keep you churning first downs, to create at the line of scrimmage, you having to make a decision coming off your coverage and then throwing it or staying on your coverage and letting him churn a first down by running the football. And that's what makes him exceptionally dangerous. So if he can stay true to playing great football, which he did on script, then those off-script plays really become difficult for a defense.
When I look at what took place between the Chiefs and the Raiders, it just made me start thinking about two things. One is don't go into the game already defeated. And I think that this Bills team has a DNA where they're scrappy guys. You can tell by the DNA of how this team goes out and they compete that they're not going to be afraid of competing against the Kansas City Chiefs. That was the first thing. The second thing is when the floodgates opened up in that game against Kansas City when they were playing Las Vegas, the Las Vegas Raiders, they opened up and it was a flood. So to me, when I look at them being a threat and a potential danger to the Kansas City Chiefs, they became a threat when Las Vegas had the type of success against them that they did, because every team that is built in a way that is in that form or fashion where they can bring a physical element to the game against that Kansas City team without having any type of trepidation or fear going into that game of what Kansas City will do. Like, oh my gosh, when is Pat going to strike? When is he going to do it to us? No, we're going to hit Pat in the mouth. And I think that that's the mentality that these teams that we're talking about that are threats to the Chiefs have, and the Bills are one of those teams.
Yeah, man, let's not overthink this. Let's go back to Pop Warner. I know I used to do this all the time when we had to play against a good opponent later in the schedule. I'd be like, who they play? Oh, we beat them. We going to beat them. And you used to always do that little mathematical
Don't do that.
equation. You're right.
Don't do that.
Yeah, because you're the Buffalo Bills. You're like, oh, we beat the Raiders, and the Raiders beat the Chiefs. So guess what? We're going to beat the Chiefs next time. Ooh, I don't know about that. Because if you're the Chiefs, especially on defense, you had your best game against these Buffalo Bills. Talking about 206 total yards, 122 passing yards for Josh Allen. Yuck. 84 rushing yards as a collective effort from the running game. Yuck. So something has to be fixed. I know the pass rush could try and neutralize Patrick Mahomes. Good luck with that. But you can't put up that offensive performance and think you're going to play in a shootout against Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, the other thing I think you have to really consider is think about what happened to this team last year. Last year, through about 10 games, they were the worst defense in football. And then they flipped the script, and they were as good as any defense in football through the last 6 games and through the playoffs. They were exceptional. Well, the playoffs, they gave up some points, but when they needed to get stops, they found a way to get stops to win games where they were double-digit deficit players. The other thing is they've had a bunch of offensive linemen really, miss games and miss time, and so they have had a little bit of a shuffle there. And I think the thing that everybody gets confused about, they think the Chiefs are about, hey, we got to get in a track meet with the Chiefs. And I'm sorry, you're just not going to win a track meet with the Chiefs. They're just so talented. But what they do is when you watch them on tape, when you watch them on film, they get 5 guys out in the pattern about 80% of the time. And to do that, you're in 5-0 protection, meaning your 5 guys have got to hold up And their two offensive tackles have been able to hold up in those situations to allow Patrick Mahomes the time to get the ball. I mean, I don't care who you are on defense. You can't cover the receivers they have for over 2.5, 3 seconds. They're going to be open. And so if they can hold up in those situations, even when they break down, Patrick Mahomes is so gifted. He makes somebody miss, escapes to the outside, and then they're just eviscerating you in the passing game. So that to me is one of the big keys. This team is in cruise control right now. I'm watching them. They're in cruise control because they know they're that good. And they're one of the few teams I've ever watched on a consistent basis that can flip the switch and just go, okay, let's go into overdrive here at the end of the game and let's get us a win. And they're that good. So they are still the cream of the crop to me, but the Bills are a darn good football team.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch the Chiefs know that they're that good and watch the Bills, who don't know how